You are listening to Drop Tent Media Network.
Old Broadway has gone away. No tuxedos, no berets. Sardi's ain't the same today. Gone are those days. T-shirts aren't taboo today. For a show on Old Broadway, to be clear, I'm not a gay. It's the Straight Guy's Guide to Broadway. Welcome to Broadway for Breeders. It's the Straight Guy's Guide to Broadway on our inaugural episode with the wonderful Oliver Blatt, my co-host, Ollie.
Hey, thanks for having me.
What do you you reported this?
Yeah, right.
He's just happy to be here, guys.
It's like, hey, I'm busy over here.
Like, holy shit, I got out of the house.
What?
And we'll get into who Ollie is and who our guest is in a second. But essentially, since this is the first episode, we'll kind of lay it out for you. I, Zach Petrovich, have a BFA and I have no idea how I got it. So I figured I'd have my more talented, more educated friends come on and tell me a little bit about the theatrical arts, even though I do have literally a BFA in theater arts. So this is kind of what it is. This is what we're going to be doing. Ollie, would you like to introduce yourself? Explain how you became a part of this fucking train wreck.
I have no idea how I got here. Something about a show about Broadway, and I also have a BFA in musical theater performance and have tried very hard not to ever use it in my life. No, it's not true.
I was going to say your whole profession is. Oh my God, he's underselling himself, people.
Details. Yeah, so that's it. So what the heck are we talking about today?
So let's introduce our guest. Today we have the wonderful Gianmarco Vincent Soresi, very good friend of mine, big on the comedy scene in New York. You see him at Stand Up New York all the time, but is also a thespian. He has been on a number of professional and semi-professional theater shows, and he brought to us today what?
Falsettos.
He looks confused. He doesn't know why he's here.
Well, I didn't know. Can I just say I just found out this was it was like for straight guys who like theater.
Okay, we're gonna get into that because this show is so fucking perfect. It's really not. It's just kind of like okay. So here's what it is. It's for anyone who likes theater, but it's like you guys are gonna kind of like walk me through everything because I'm an idiot. That's why I have you. You're so much like it's one of those things like me and Gianmarco, like we always like we come at comedy very differently. He works hard. I don't. It's like but we both come from that classically trained background. He has an amazing voice. I mean, tell us a little bit about your background.
First, I think if any of the guests you have in your podcast like come out later in life, I think you have to like do an apology podcast. Like we had on earlier guests.
No, that's what this podcast is about not doing. We are not apologizing because someone came out.
No. But it's like, well, we had Gianmarco. We said he was straight. Then at age 45, turns out his mother was right. And he is now settled down with a man in Virginia. So we're deleting his episode.
No, you don't have to be straight to be on the podcast. That's why I have you on.
You're straight. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. There he is. It links up.
That took 5 minutes.
I was like, that's a lawsuit waiting to happen.
No. I am guiding fellow fucking meatheads through the world that is musical theater.
Yes. I like.
Yeah, I know.
No.
Oh, we got a fan. We got one fan, guys. All right. So, John, could you just kind of walk us through your background, kind of where you come from as far as the theater world, and if you could also tell us what show you brought on for us today.
So, I was always a theater kid. I was one of those kids. If you asked me in first grade what I wanted to be when I grew up, I was like, I want to be a performer. I started in kindergarten. I was the prince in The Princess and the Pea. And every school show I did, it's about 100 of them. So then I did Music Man in 8th grade. I was Harold Hill.
Nice.
I Seymour in Little Shop of Horrors, junior year of high school.
Ooh.
And then I went to college for musical theater. I was very into musical theater. That was my dream.
Where did you go to college for musical theater?
I tried to get out of it. It's University of Miami. in Florida.
That's a party school. Do you have a blast?
No, Zach, you know me. You know me. Of course I didn't have a blast.
If I went to if I went to Miami,
I would be dead.
Oh my
Zach.
God. I went to Point Park University and I look like this. Jesus Christ. Yeah. All right. So you went to University of Miami. That's an excellent school, though. Excellent program.
No.
Really? You didn't like the program?
No. Especially at this age, and now that I'm 24, I find a lot of these college programs, I hate them. The whole BFA system, I think, is bullshit. I think 4 years is way too long to enter the professional world that really values youth.
I agree with that as well. Yeah, I'll back you on that for sure.
So I would say like a 2-year program is adequate. And all these colleges are just so separated from the industry. There's only a couple colleges, I think, where like NYU, you really leave with your hooks in multiple arenas.
I will say Point Park was a weird place. They didn't do everything perfect. But we did have a lot of hooks, if you will.
Yeah.
Especially in the regional theater scene. I mean, no one was going to New York and becoming like the next fucking, Lin-Manuel, but my buddy, who we're going to have on after you, we wanted to put you on first to see how bad this idea was. But my buddy Connor, very good friend of mine, he went on to be in School of Rock and other Broadway shows. He went on and did their tour. And he was the same class as me. We also have like a ton of other people who've like gone on to do other stuff with film and everything like that. But it's funny. I always think it's funny, like the people that don't go on, like the people that spend all that money to be in the program. And then like you see them like teaching dance in Utah, like 20 years later. Or
if they even stay. I'll tell you, last night I was recording a voiceover audition, and I don't.
Were
do
you
a
dressed
lot of
the same?
Yeah, pretty much. This is what I've been wearing since March, pretty much. And I noticed as I was doing it, I started to have like a sibilant S, like an S that kind of gets a little whistly.
Sweet Jesus.
And I thought, like, my God, I spent insane amounts of money to take 4 years of voice and speech classes. I then like started a career where like it didn't matter that much and I didn't take class. And now at the age of 26, I am like, oh my God, I have a voice and speech issue. Do I need to go take class again? Did I waste this? It's all a big fucking waste. See how weird it is to be in this business for so long, and then you're like, wait a second, I no longer know how to say S's.
Oh man,
and I'm not going to get work because I can't say S's anymore.
I 100% hear you. I actually I lost. So I had a permanent retainer on the bottom teeth forever, like since I had braces, and it just fell out this week. Like it just was like, fuck you, I'm done. Like it was like, just walked out on me. I know. I don't even get half the fucking shit. Half of my teeth are now fucked up. So it's just, like it's weird. I'm finding that I'm saying stuff differently. I'm in a show at Oliver's Theater right now, and I'm like singing. And I'm like,
that's what you call it.
Yeah, sure. But I'm singing and I'm like, this feels weird, like tongue placement, stuff like that. And no, you're right. Like I'm sitting here going like, holy shit, I have 4 years of what they would call like elite training. And I
mean, you're right. But it's like, this whole discussion about a 4-year theater program could be a whole nother 6 hours of podcast.
Very true.
Because I
fantasize about, You've seen like all the what's the guy who wrote Newsroom and Studio 60?
Somebody? Anybody?
Yeah.
The guy.
Our producer's on it. Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah. Aaron Sorkin. I have a dream of like a kind of Aaron Sorkin-y moment where I'm on some talk show and they're like, so did you like to go to college? And I turn to the camera and I'm like, fuck the college system. And I go on this long rant about how this needs to go and this needs to end.
America is not the greatest country in the world. That but for theater. Yeah.
This country used to be.
Yeah. We used to have good ideas. Phantom of the Opera. What happened there? No. So speaking of shows, Gianmarco, please introduce Falsettos to us. Kind of give us a brief synopsis and why you brought it to the show today.
So Falsettos is technically part of a trilogy, but it has a weird formation where a composer named William Finn, who is probably most well known for 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, but is a well-revered composer. He, early on in his career, he wrote like a one-man show called In Trousers. And it was about like a man who came out later in life. It was very Jewy. It was so that was just kind of like a song cycle that he used to perform at like grungy cabarets around New York. It eventually launched Falsettos, which was 2 parts originally. I think they premiered like a year apart from each other. March of the Falsettos and Falsetto Land. And then those 2 shows were separated into Act 1, Act 2, and was known as Falsettos. And it's basically like a guy named Marvin, and he's in therapy. The opening song is 4 Jews in a room bitching. And it's about him.
Yeah, we listened to a little bit of, so we listened to the album. I've never seen it live. I've never seen it.
Right?
Huh?
Original Broadway cast?
I believe.
No, 20
was it, or was it
2016?
It was.
No, I told you, Zach. Original Broadway cast.
I'm straight. I can't read that font.
I said OBC.
Yeah, no, he's got the fucking jargon. Did you hear that? Yeah. OBC? That was like not removed from box. This is like, I feel like I'm at Comic-Con right now. This was amazing. No, we listened to it. The second I heard 4 Jews bitching in a room, and then I was like, okay, I get why Gianmarco picked this. And then I heard the lead do that for Marvin sing, like, and I was like, oh, it sounds like John.
Oh,
like,
yeah?
I heard his voice, and I was like, oh, this is a dream. He's doing dream rolls right now. He's doing wish list right now for me. This is fantastic.
Oh, for sure. It's my number one dream roll. And it's twofold, I think, the reason I love it. So basically, Marvin, it's basically about like a family dynamic where he's left his wife for his best friend. They have a kid who's about to have a bar mitzvah. And later on, his best friend gets AIDS, and they deal. So this was like, I think it's all set in the late 80s.
Okay.
And it really is kind of about this man who's it's very much an ensemble piece. But Marvin he's newly out of the closet. He might be bisexual. It's not talked to, but he's a narcissist. It's about a narcissist trying to create a happy family unit out of this disastrous thing he's created. And the other element is his ex-wife, who he still kind of loves in his own way, ends up with his therapist. And
wow.
And then
okay. There's a song. Like I said, we listened to it as much as we could. I wish we got the OBC. I love you. I'm going to say that forever now. That's amazing. You just gave me like a new thing.
Look, the revival is good, but the OBC just had this like this.
I think the originals are mostly always better. I mean, you can see that with Sweeney Todd. You can see that with, anything. Absolutely anything. Sweeney Todd's the one that comes to mind because I think Len Carey is Sweeney. Like I never think of Michael Chevrolet.
Wait, but if you listen to are you talking about because the video's Len Carew, the recording I believe is George Hearn.
Other way around. The video is George Hearn.
Right.
Yeah, no, you're okay. No, okay. So we'll talk silly things. My father had the vinyl, and Nothing's Gonna Harm You was our lullaby as kids, me and my brothers. So if you want to know why I'm fucked up, that's.
So I will say this: like I listened to Falsettos. I was in high school. This was like when I went to that first musical theater camp, and like I was ordering 3 albums a week off Amazon, and I would just listen, reading the librettos. This was like the height of my musical theater joy.
So this is pre-college.
Yeah, pre-college. And I listened to Falsettos. I was at a beach house at my mom's side, and it was like my 15th birthday. And there was a climactic kind of family event where my stepfather, who I'd had a long time, very bad relationship with, long story short, he wouldn't let me talk to my dad on my birthday. And I turned to him at 15 and I was like, "You're just jealous because my dad fucked your wife before you did."
That's fucking awesome.
It was like,
holy shit. That is the most badass story you've ever told me. Oh my God. Crazy Soresi.
And it was like, I just think I listened to this album like at the moment I became a man or an adult or something, that this was all kind of part of this very significant time period of my life. And I connected to Marvin's desire for a family and his desire that he's just a narcissist. And
you connected with that.
Yeah. And I remember I had for sure. But I had a college professor who I told him this was my favorite. And I'm convinced this particular professor thought that it was because I was also a gay man who would come out later in life like Marvin. But for me, it's about his narcissism, his Jewish flavored narcissism that I think just like, I was like, that's me.
Well, upon researching and going through the music, I mean, the Jewish theme is huge. I mean, it's like I said, I mean, it's very like the second I like really went through everything with it, I was like, this is Gianmarco if he was a musical, if like you were a musical, minus the whole gay thing. I mean, jury's out, but I'm fucking with you. But like honestly, like I was like, I get why you connect to this so much. It's kind of how I feel about Big Fish. Big Fish is like that musical for me.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, because my dad's like,
the shirt I have is from Big Fish.
Which one?
I always wear.
The daffodils?
That I have as a flower here?
Yeah.
That's from my friend was Andrew Lippa's assistant at the time.
No shit.
Big Fish went up on Broadway. And I got to see that very early on. So, and I love Norbert Leo Butz.
I do too. He just released something recently. He was like playing guitar to something recently on fucking. Yeah, it's going viral. I mean, not that he needs our fucking help, but no, he is fantastic. I love his voice. But for me, like Big Fish is that show a lot of the times because like I think my dad's full of shit half the time. And I grew up thinking my dad was full of shit. And then my dad ends up directing me as the son in Big Fish. He's directing and like,
oh wow.
Yeah. So like that, I totally get that connection of like, you know, being like feeling a real, like having like that real emotional connection to like the story because you're like, okay, so if it's like, you know, I don't know. I'm not good with feelings. Not good with this. No, but just having that deep of a connection, that deep well, and something that kind of like it's how non-theater people probably look at like Alanis Morissette. You know what I mean? Like it's like, you know, it's like that like it's so funny, but like we're the people that like we would listen to like fucking like, you know what I mean? We would be listening to like Broadway music when everyone else was like, oh my God, Green Day gets it. Like, you know, like fucking, we're sitting there going like, I am going to defy gravity. Like, you know, it's just, it's such a disconnect between the rest of the population. But
well, it's too bad because I guess there was a time when there wasn't where musical theater standards would be in the top 100 billboards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure, oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I'm sure you remember. You're ancient.
Yeah,
not old, yes. You. No, that wasn't towards you, John. I know you can't see us. Yes. That's usually my joke towards him. But Ollie, weigh in, please.
Yeah, well, sure. Marvin Hamlish made a career out of writing, you know, hits that made it into the top
Cole Porter
40
too. I mean, Cole Porter was a big.
Well, with the fact that a song from Plain and Fancy was a hit. I mean, right there, Young and Foolish.
Oh,
it was actually.
I never knew that was from a musical.
Yeah. See, there you go. And there's a show that, you know, I did one too many times in my career.
You remember like Gwen Stefani? I was at
If I Were a Rich Man?
When Gwen was like, if I were a rich man, and you're like, whoa!
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing here?
That's exactly what I said too. I was like, whoa! I turned into Kermit the Frog. It was great.
All your friends, you're like, this is from Fiddler on the Roof.
Yeah, I was like, you know, this is a sample. Oh my God, that's so funny. Yeah, no, that was actually my first show, was Fiddler on the Roof. So going back to Falsettos, bring me through the original Broadway cast, because obviously I researched the wrong cast.
Well, we can talk about the cast. I actually did a movie.
I would love to, please.
With the guy who played the therapist in the revival. His name's slipping my mind. For a second, I was like, oh, I don't want him to hear this. I'm like, he's not hearing this. Therapist, revival.
You're not going to share this, are you?
I'm going to share this. I share all the podcasts I do. Brandon Uranowitz. We did a movie together.
Sounds right.
And he was very nice. So he did a great job too. It's one of those where like I listened to that original recording so much
that's where your connection is to it. You know, like that's
the one revival song that I think like was better than anything before was I'm Breaking Down. Oh God, what
Stephanie
a good song.
Baker, I think is her name.
Not Baker, Stephanie
Bakerwitz.
What are you making it more to it?
I'm just trying. I'm trying here, man.
Right, Stephanie J. Block.
Hey, come on, Baker Block. That's pretty fucking close.
You know you went Blockowitz, Blockstein.
No, I said Block. No, I said Baker.
Bakerwitz.
She's a Baker witch. She's a Baker's witch. What are we doing? Into the woods.
That's right.
So anyway, that was actually listening to the album. That was the only song I wasn't like, what the fuck's going on? No, I mean, it was, I gotta be honest, it wasn't my favorite musical, but I can understand. Like, I just didn't, you know what I mean? I powered through it. Like, I kind of did it in I'm going to have to revisit it, honestly.
You got to listen to it, like, in the right, like, I listen to a lot of musicals. Occasionally, I used to listen to everything. That's all I listened to. And now I listen to new musicals. And most of the time, I'm like, it doesn't vibe with me. But I think part of it is, like, if you really want to, like, get into it, you got to look at the libretto. You got to look at
I think seeing the music, I mean, even though I don't technically read music, but, like, seeing... I read and like I don't know I read music like people who've lived in Brooklyn their whole life speak Spanish but don't come from a Spanish speaking house. You know what I mean? Like that's how I read music. But sure. Ollie, you actually are a very gifted musician. So
yeah, I am. And you know, it's funny because I hate listening to a lot of times. I hate listening to cast recordings because I need to see the whole big picture. So you know, we're talking about just listening to it, but you're in the right frame of mind. But I do so much better when I can actually see the whole show. And then it's like, oh, this makes sense. Like a perfect example, not to get on another show, but when I first heard the producer's cast recording, I was like, what kind of crap is this? And then I saw the show and I loved it. And now it's one of my favorite cast recordings. But when I first heard it, I was like, this is going to be the big hit of Broadway this year. What is wrong with people? But
I think that's the thing with new music in general. I think one of the reasons it's hard to get in as you get older, you just like the old stuff, is like if you watch a music video, sometimes it makes the song come to life in a way.
Yeah,
we're like,
I'll give you that. Yeah, absolutely.
I like because I experienced it and I have visuals attached to it. It's richer to me. But I listen to some new Drake song. Sometimes I'm like, I don't even know what he's saying. I can't get into this.
Well, and that's why it's music theater, because you need to see the whole big picture. And I love when people try and pull it apart and you're like, well, this is great, but it has to be all together. It's the same thing with putting musicals on television. Like it's not designed for that medium, but that's a whole tangent.
A lot of the live ones. Some of them have been okay.
I still think
okay is still not, okay isn't like an amazing theater experience.
My favorite was Christopher Walken's Peter Pan. That is still my favorite.
I couldn't bring myself.
Oh my God. Him just not knowing any of the fucking lines and Christian Borle just looking at him like, come on, old man, I'm not helping you. Did you see it? Yeah. It's like, fucking, oh my God. Me and my mom. I'm sorry?
Christian Borle in Falsettos.
Christian Borle is in Falsettos?
He was Marvin in the revival.
Yeah, you sound like him.
Oh, I'll take that.
That's that's what I picture. You're like polished. I've been in rehearsal. So it's so funny because like I look at everything through a boxing lens because I'm a fucking idiot. And like that's even when I was in theater, I would still look at stuff through a boxing lens. Like I would do monologues to get stuff into my body. I would do it while I was hitting the bag or while I was like jump rope. And that was a thing my teachers actually told me to do. They're like, you don't connect to your body unless you're hitting something. I was like, yeah, I'm a dummy. But what I'm saying is like, what the fuck?
You know what I would tell is that
if you were like 2 weeks out of a training camp, like if I gave you 2 weeks to like start doing like voice and speech and you got back, are you doing voice lessons still or no?
No. And I used to like practice a little.
I do one a year. I do one voice lesson a year and I call my friend and I go up to the Upper West Side and I'm like, do you mind running me through a voice lesson? And they'll do it for an hour. They're like, do you want to do this every week? I was like, yeah, I'll think about it. And then like, they don't see me for a year and they're like, oh, well, this is a really good song for you. We should do this next week. I was like, yeah, sure.
Making a lot of money because your relationship to money changes as you get older, and like voice lessons in New York would be like, I'm sure it would be like $150 for 45-minute every week. And
I mean, that's why I'm going to one of my friends. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, I'm not going to a studio. Yeah. But
I'll tell you, one of the things that I've never gotten a hands on is one clip on YouTube. But the original Marvin was Michael Rupert, who's one of my favorite. He was Legally Blonde, the musical.
Yes.
Did you ever listen to that?
Yeah.
He's the professor. He's the evil professor guy in that.
Oh, okay. Has he been in anything else? Is there anything else of note, like from the classic days, maybe? Or
he was a staple of the Broadway scene, but nothing comes to mind other than Falsettos. I think was one of his biggest. But he was replaced by Mandy Patinkin.
Ooh.
And I think it was brief, but there's one recording, and like it's when Mandy was at his mandiest. And
was it you that got to work with Mandy recently?
No, I met him once.
You met him. Oh, okay. No, I saw a post about it. I didn't know if you worked with him or what was going on.
No, I think there's someone who does an impression of Mandy Patinkin that's really good. And I posted, he did like when Trump got coronavirus and everyone's like celebrating, him and his wife just posted a moment of silence, and it was 3 minutes of them looking at the camera like, and that was it. And his version of being like, I'm not going to celebrate it, but you understand how I feel about this man. He's intense. I had a college professor. He said he had a friend who worked with Mandy Patinkin, and this was the quote, that if murder was ever legal, Mandy Patinkin would be the first person they kill. So I have a feeling.
Wow. Okay.
He was very nice to me on the train. He shook my hand. He said, I'll see you down the road, kid. And I was,
what? That's the most fucking big dick thing to say ever. I'll see you down the road, kid. Holy shit. Right? Isn't that fucking...
Nah, my dick tickled.
Yeah. You woke our producer up.
Well, I'm loving it. I mean, I think it says, 7 Tony Awards? It was nominated
or
Falsettos. I'm just going back to that. I didn't realize it was,
So what year was that? 80?
So, premiered on Broadway. This is 1992.
92. Okay.
And then, it was nominated that year for 7 Tony Awards.
Wow. What are we thinking about the Tonys this year, guys? I mean, what's up?
I didn't look. I know.
Frozen? like what? Like
Jeremy,
what came out in time?
I think 4 shows.
Well, Aaron Tveit, they said he's the only nominee, I believe, for Best Actor in a Musical.
I think you're right. Yeah.
He still has to get over some threshold of votes, maybe 50%. That would really suck if you're the only nominee and you still get too few votes to win. That would be so humiliating.
Oh my God. I kind of hope it happens now. Like I'm a sick fuck.
Such
I don't
an
know.
asshole.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I love it. I don't know why. Maybe it might be just like, I don't have a disdain. I feel like the theater community didn't really understand me, which is such a funny thing because as like being in theater, like that's usually where the misfits go. And like even I was like too much for them. Like
you're definitely like I wasn't a partier. I was more like I was effeminate. I clicked into there, but like there was some theater kids that were like they were also the party kids, and I feel like you would fit in.
Well, yeah, no, I had my little group of misfits for sure. Like we used to have Copa, the conservatory that I went to. We used to have this thing called Tour de Franzia that I still hold a record for. So it was me and a team of 2 others, and I picked the smallest people in the world. They literally were 5 foot together, and we
I've done it.
Yeah,
I've done it.
So you have to clear a box of Franzia as fast as you can.
About 5 bottles.
We won at 3 minutes.
Oh, fucking!
It's 3 minutes between 3 of us, and I picked the 2 biggest alcoholics other than me, and we demolished it. And there's a video somewhere on my Instagram of me eating a worm, and I'm like betting. I'm like in a tracksuit, wasted. And I'm just like, hey, $20, I eat this fucking worm. And like, there's a bunch of theater kids.
No one around you. No one's putting you up to this.
No one's putting me up to it. I just found this worm.
Right.
But then everyone goes,
$20 if you tell me to eat this worm.
What did you say?
Okay.
I'll pay you $20.
I'll pay you $20.
Hey.
Yeah, no, I'm just, I'm out of my fucking mind ways. I'm just like, I'll fucking eat this worm. And like all the theater kids are like, don't do it. Like, no one wants you to do this.
Well, I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah, and then I fucking eat it. But yeah, no, I mean, dude, theater school was a party for me. Because I never thought I was going to college. Like, I'm dumb. I didn't know the grade point average went past 2.5 in high school. Like, you know what I mean? I thought I was crushing it. Someone told me, they're like, you're borderline retarded. And I was just like, okay. But it was one of those things that it's like, you know, when I got to theater school, I dropped everything I thought I had to be in my hometown. I dropped that tough guy bullshit. I dropped fighting. I stopped boxing entirely. And then like about 3 months in, I realized that like I needed boxing in my life. There was certain parts of that I needed to be the best, like the most successful I could be. And like in a headspace. Cause like I realized like I would go out with these people and I'd be like, yeah, but there's something that you guys like, there may be shit that like these other idiot, like these meatheads that I usually hang out with, there's stuff I could never talk to them about. Right.
Yeah.
But there's also shit I could never talk to you people about that I talk about with the meatheads that is equally as helpful.
Sure. Well, I think like that's, again, the podcast I always think about is about theater kids. Cause I think like theater, it's the first for me, middle school, it was like sports or then kind of nothing.
Yeah.
And then in high school, it's like, well, you got sports and then you got theater and then maybe you got drugs. And
yeah, we did.
Like now you have 3 things to choose from. So like theater gets this huge swath of, I think this is why theater has a lot of gay people that gravitate towards theater. Cause I think like it's the first time there's the first, the first time that like, oh, now there's an option of like where feeling a little bit out of place with the status quo. This is where I go. Yeah. And that's why we have a variety of theater kids like me, and then like you who wants to box on the
Skinny
side.
Gay, big gay. You got a variety of. No. But I
kneel for the fucking 1-2 punch. I loved it.
The theater kids becomes like it's just a big basket where there's
the island of misfit toys.
It really is. Yeah.
The kids who did tech, where they're like they're not extroverts the way you and I might be, but they like something about this different world. So
sure. Well, do you think
it's a fascinating divide?
Do you think some of it too is, you know, the kids that go into theater are the ones that are looking for a way to be someone who they're not? So it's a way, you know, I mean, I know I went through that as a kid when I discovered theater, that it was like, oh, I can go and pretend to be something else and I can live in this fantasy world and not have to deal with, you know, It
was a little bit of that. It was weird though. Cause like you were just talking, John, about like sports versus theater. Like for me, sports wasn't really on the table. It was there because it was a social thing, but theater was always a real thing because of who my father was and how he pushed me to do that. And like I mean, obviously I talk about it on my set and all that stuff when I'm doing comedy, but I mean, like, you know, most kids were pushed into cleats. I was pushed into tap shoes. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It was like, I was singing from a very young age, like seriously. And I wouldn't take any of that away at this point in my life. I mean, like, I've had hangups about it and been like, fuck, like I could have, like if I was doing boxing at like age 4, I could have been heavyweight champion, but I'm white. That never would have happened.
Was it? If your friends like saw your dad on stage, were you embarrassed at all or did it feel very normal? Like
I wouldn't talk about it. It was because I wasn't ashamed of my father because he was very good at one point.
That's good.
Oh, he's still pretty good. I mean, because he's going to hear this. He's still pretty good, Zach.
Well, hopefully just listen to the audio and not Zach's face.
We can talk about this in the car. You know, here's the thing. The guy hasn't done it in fucking like 5 years. You know, he's talented for where he's at. The talent doesn't go away, but it's like the polish is gone. My dad used to be a very awesome guy to watch on stage. Like he made me want to do it as much as I talk shit, as much as I call him gay. Like, you know, he did make me want to do it. Cause he made it seem like just like what Ollie was saying and what you were kind of alluding to. You become someone different. Like for once, my dad wasn't like this nerdy kind of like prissy pain in the ass that I knew him to be. He was fucking, you know, he was Juan Perón or Don Quixote or like I'd see him like, so it's, once again, this is also why I fucking Big Fish is like that show for me. Cause like, this is who I grew up. My father playing like fucking these roles. And like, these are the stories I grew up with. It's kind of going full circle there. But, yeah, no, I always enjoyed, I feel like, it's a me thing because I think for most theater kids, I think we all come into that world and we're all pretty insecure, even if we're flying a flag that we're the most confident, we're the best, our shit doesn't stink. I think that we are insecure people going into that world. And I think me being this overtly, brazen human who I am, and I really don't have a filter on what I say, I think that's a little intimidating for a lot of people. I mean, John, not that I intimidate you, but I mean, like, there's times where you're like, okay, Zach, like, fucking, like, you're scaring people. Like, like,
sure.
Like, you've experienced that. Are you texting right now, you cocksucker? What are you doing?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I have a pencil and I'm putting a pen cap on it.
This is the amount of boredom that you brought him.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ! Wow. All right,
you have to go to therapy. Is that what you said?
Yeah, you have to go to therapy. Is that what you said?
No, I do it in therapy. Like I'm a fidgeter for sure.
Oh, okay. John thinks I should be in therapy. I think he's fucking bullshit.
No. Clearly, by the diatribe you just went on about your father.
Zach, it's much more than that. If there's one person in the world I think should be in therapy, it's you.
Yeah. Well, you're big and boisterous, like old timey theater people. That's like old timey actors in theater. We're like, hello, what's up? I'm an actor. Like they would
he's just
what I
mean?
Big. Okay. Please, overweight.
I think it's like I always love quoting that Sopranos quote. I feel like I came in on the end of something.
Yeah.
Like, cause like I'm definitely like, even with comedy, I feel like like my style of comedy's gone the way of the dodo birds a little bit. Like it's.
What do you mean?
It's like I'm the big loud guy. You know what I mean? It's like no one wants that. No one because they know how that story ends. Everyone knows how this story ends. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like so I can't be that.
You
like,
dying in your own throw up with a bunch of coke. Yeah. Very upset.
What's the story?
Gianmarco. Well, what? Go ahead. Sorry, bud.
No, I'm just saying. Like it's. I always feel like not that I'm behind the 8 ball. I just feel like I hold on to like those old school entertainment values of not giving a fuck and having a good time because
and having a couple martinis.
Well, look where your training came from and look where your what your experience and your life experience was leading up to that. I mean,
with my father, no, good point. My dad is the martini guy.
He really is.
Yeah. So that it's true. Very true.
Are one-act musicals normal? I didn't realize that was a thing. Like this whole musical Falsettos thing, I was like, I'm lost. So I was like, oh wait, so they're doing like, true, but I was just like, oh, so he wrote the one act. They said it didn't even come to good reviews. The first one, he was like going to give it up after the first when he released his first one, which was In Trousers, right?
Did he actually become a doctor?
In Trousers is a weird, trippy. It doesn't have a narrative the same way Falsettos does. It really is like about like I'm gay now, or like him like having desires as a kid. I think there's some really great songs in it, but it's not something if you put it next to Falsettos, like I don't know if anyone's ever done it. I'm sure they have like as a reading, but 1, 2, 3, it would be very weird.
Gotcha.
It would be like, it's more like a concept album, really.
Yeah. And that's why I was just curious about that. That was like kind of blowing my mind in terms of is that common? For people to kind of like write one chat, like one.
Yeah, there's a couple drafts. People do drafts. I mean, like where they'll like, I mean,
nice.
I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Is there any other good? Yeah, because it's interesting.
They'll like work on it and make it better. I think what's challenging is like In Trousers. It's not great, but there's some parts that are really cool, so it stays alive.
Okay.
But In Trousers could die, and Falsettos holds on its own. But like things
it's kind of like Jacques Brel, isn't that kind of like one of those mishmash? Like Jacques Brel.
I think so. I don't know a lot about that.
I don't know. That's above my pay grade.
Fair. The like, guy who owns a theater says
Sondheim worked on a show called Bounce that then became Road something.
Roadhouse?
Like it's Road, maybe?
No.
I love that play he put on.
With Patrick Swayze and Sam Elliott.
Shut up.
It's called Road Show.
Oh, Road Show. Oh, I've actually heard of that now that I'm not being an asshole.
It's like a musical that changed and it did badly on Broadway, and then they brought it back again. Like some of these things, they just keep tinkering with it. And
well, but like the opening number of Hamilton took him 2 years to write.
Yeah.
So I mean, that wasn't just one day. There it is. I'm done.
Right.
I
mean, well, you look at Stephen Schwartz is a guy I love looking at his body of work to see like where he's gone. Because you look at Pippin, like that's like a pretty solid. I mean, like that was a huge hit. But then he has like
college show.
Huh?
Pippin he wrote in college at Carnegie Mellon.
Right.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Pippin's nuts. Yeah. It's like it's a really come from behind. Fucking
I'm shaking
winner.
my head.
And then but like then you have a show of his like Children of Eden, where you're like, okay, I see the Schwartziness of this. And then later on you have Wicked, and you're like, you can hear the same. There's certain elements to like what he's doing. Like there's a lot of shimmer. There's a lot of like musical elements.
Well, yeah,
speaking,
and every time. I mean, perfect example is Andrew Lloyd Webber. I mean,
but he steals from everybody.
Well, no, he steals from himself. I mean, you can you can literally sing "Money Kept Rolling In" over top of Jacob and Sons, and it's the same chord,
right?
It's the same key, it's the same chord progression. But yeah, I mean, to that point, I mean, I think as someone who also writes musicals, that you develop a theme. And then you go, well, I kind of worked well here. But then when you work on the next project, you can pull from that experience of what worked and what didn't work. And then obviously come up with something that grows. I mean, I think it's really cool that you can tell who the composer is just by listening to the style of the work. I know
Right.
I mean, Jason Robert Brown's a big one like that. Couple other, I mean, obviously others. I mean, Sondheim, if it sounds like none of the notes go, it's probably Sondheim. Yeah, no.
So it went from In Trousers, and then it went over I'm sorry. I know.
No. You're
also thinking of the people that are just listening to this, but I also think it's really interesting to why Gianmarco liked it, because it's like, wait, dude, you came out of the gate kind of interested in the band Fish. Like I'm already reading a lot about this one, and I'm like, this is kind of a very unique situation.
Well, that's happening. That's why we bring them on.
Sorry, you looked over at me and you were like, he said falsettos. What crazy? I'm like, yeah, falsettos. Who likes that? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
but so if people are coming on and he's trying to educate them about it, you guys, and which I think is very interesting. You're right. It is like a weird amalgam. So that when it went to March of Falsettos, that he kind of brought, so that's like the next one that came out, right? That he kind of reworked, and then it came out as that, right?
Yeah, and like
and that got
one
better.
of the songs in the revival, maybe it's I'm Breaking Down. I'm looking at it right now. So Chip Zien, who played the therapist in, you know who Chip Zien is, the baker from Into the Woods?
Yes.
So he was the therapist in the original Broadway recording of Falsettos. But then in Trousers, they did do one recording of it. And Chip Zien played Marvin.
Oh, wow.
So we went from Marvin to the therapist. And I think there's one song from In Trousers that fully made it down, that fully made it to Falsettos. It's so good. Man, you got to I realized I hadn't listened to In Trousers on Spotify. So I just saw it's on there, and I'm fantasizing about like getting stoned and listening to In Trousers. Also the metaphors.
Can that be the soundbite for this episode?
Yeah.
That's the soundbite. Okay, we're grabbing that soundbite. That's perfect.
I had a teacher in college who, looking back, like I really just a toxic man. And I remember there's a song in Trousers.
Theater? No way.
And he's like, the reason I went to that college, all these things. He like sat me down and was like, I want you to be the next leading man of this school. And then promptly abandoned me, I think, when I never came out of the closet. But that's my theory. That's my theory. I don't think he was trying to fuck me per se.
Right.
I'm not saying that. I'm not accusing him of that. But I think it's just like he saw in me a Jewish man who would be like his bud.
Yeah.
And I very promptly was not what he wanted me to be.
Damn, that's rough.
So there's this song at the end of In Trousers. It's like a dream song where he's like, they're cooking in trousers and they keep repeating In Trousers. And I remember asking him, I was like, what does that mean? What is the trousers metaphor? And he was like, when you're a senior, you'll understand. And I became a fucking senior, and I was like, I still don't know what the fuck this means. I think it's a bad metaphor.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah,
he was waiting for you to figure it out so you could tell him.
Yeah, he wanted you to give an oral report on it.
Yeah.
But
I'm not accusing him of anything sexually untoward. I want to put it on the record.
No, I don't know what you said.
That's what it sounds like to do. I'm not accusing him of anything sexually untoward.
But that's like, come on, it's a fad now. We should do it.
Did we isolate your favorite song from the overarching? Did we say your favorite song?
Yeah, did you say
I'm breaking down from the revival. If you look at the original, I feel like it's just when he goes, I want it all. I want it all. I want it. And it's just that.
Right there.
That's the phrase. Yeah. That's the phrase that makes you.
That should be when I walk in a room. That's my theme song. I want it all.
I think it is, buddy. I think that plays when you come into the back of the pair. I want it all. 10 minutes.
What song do you want us to play when you walk on stage? And I never know a good answer. And now it's going to be that.
Yo, brother, honestly, your crowd would love that. I go back and forth between Rich Girl by Hall & Oates and Fight for Your Right to Party.
What are you, a stepdad from the 80s?
Yeah, man.
You don't know anything about fucking Slayer. Yeah, dude.
But anyway,
oh yeah, you're there. Yeah, we're there. Hour.
All right, so
wherever you want to go.
We kind of wrap up a little bit. Do we have any final comments on Falsettos from the panel? Neil, you have any more fucking insights?
No, I didn't have any insights. I was trying to.
No,
fucking asshole. I'm your demographic.
I know you really
fucking
are.
idiot.
No, I'm so glad. No,
I'm the one who's always wanted someone to sit down with me and go like, "This is musical theater," because I wanted to be the guy.
Since you're going to be here every week.
I won't be here. But I wanted to be him. That's who I wanted to be. But I went to Catholic school and I couldn't sing, so they were like, "Ew, gross, get out of here." But no, anyway. But yeah, no, I'm super interested in it. So I really love it. I'm going to check out the whole album though. From the original cast, I will check out the
OBC.
OBC.
You got to hit the OBC.
You're hitting acronyms like Scientology.
Ollie, any final thoughts on Falsettos?
You know, it was one of those things. Zach and I were kind of powering through it today, and it was like, oh boy. But again, now I feel like I have to do a little bit more. Kind of delving into it and seeing, what's going on.
I've gone through 3 albums just based on the guests that we're going to have. And Gianmarco, I will say I did spend the most time on yours, which was about an hour. And no,
he lies. He really means 15 minutes.
No, I'm fucking with you. But
here's the thing about musical theater is like, you just have to have the right mind. Like you can watch a musical and go like, this is corny. But if you can in that opening song, 4 Jews in a room bitching, and you can let yourself be silly. I'm bitching, she's bitching, they're bitching. If you can find that fun, if you can let yourself be corny and be a little hacky for a second, you'll find it. I promise.
I will say I think that is the takeaway from musical theater, especially for today, boys and girls. It is a little hacky. The humor in musical theater is a little hacky for the most part.
Okay, that's
stand up. But like it's the same thing with stand up comedy where it's like if you go there and you can't like buy into the I'm going to talk about here's a thought I had. Like you have to put yourself in that frame.
Yes. No, 100%. I get
go
that.
Like this with musical theater or with stand up and go like, nah, fuck this. This isn't real.
Yeah. No, it's the suspension of disbelief, and it's the it's poetic license. It's all that.
Which is why it works in the theater and not nearly as well anywhere else.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah, I think anybody listening to the soundtracks are definitely obviously like, I remember when I heard, we saw that. That's
Jerry Herman, who wrote Hello, Dolly, and a series of other huge hits that
all sound this.
Because I had this book that I prized, and it rated every musical theater recording. And it opened with Jerry Herman, who talked about how much he hated musical theater albums. Because it just it gave you the blueprints. Right. But it's the same thing. Where I love reading plays, and some people hate reading
I still read plays. That's the only thing I read. But yeah.
And once you figure out how it works, I find reading screenplays a little more challenging because it just is there's so many things broken down. But you just have to bring your brain in a way that to enjoy the blueprint of something.
I mean, I will say the cast recordings have gotten a lot
better to listen to because, back in the day when it was vinyl, they had so many minutes that they could fit on a cast recording. Now we have so much more time to do it. So it's actually nice to hear cast recordings being released with, more of the show than just, like you said, a blueprint where it's like, well, I got the general picture of this, but I missed all the
They include a little bit more context now.
Yeah.
But real quick, John, what was the name of that book?
I got to look it up.
Wow, you prided it so big. No, I'm fucking with you, man. Dude, thank you so much for coming on. You were an absolute joy. I'm so glad you're the first guest. I love you. I know me and you have like this goofy relationship, but I really do. I love you, man.
We have good chemistry.
I think we do. I can't wait to see you. I'll be back in the city soon. Let's grab some coffee, not Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah, man. Is there anything you want to plug? Anything you want to do real quick?
So I have I recorded a half hour outside of like very.
That's right. Yeah. Fucking A. He has a special.
Pretty much all stuff I wrote this crazy shitty year. It's called Shelf Life.
Nice.
And it's going to be on Amazon Prime starting October 26th, and it'll be on there forever.
Is it like, if you have Prime, can you just watch it, or do you have to purchase?
If you have Prime, you can just watch it, and if you don't, it's probably just like $1.99 or something. And then
give him the $1.99, you cheap fucks. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, really.
You can't support live comedy. Support Shelf Life comedy. I fucking love it, dude. Who did the artwork? The artwork's fantastic.
Thank you. His name's Matt Caputo, and he does. He works for Warner Brothers. Like, if you ever see Seinfeld merchandise, he probably designed it.
Oh wow, nice. That's crazy. Okay,
yeah.
Awesome.
And yeah, he was very good, and I was very happy with the concept.
Dude, that's fantastic. So Shelf Life coming out when? What's the date?
October 26th.
October 26th on Amazon Prime. Shelf Life. Gianmarco Soresi, thank you so much for coming out, brother. I love you. I'll see you soon.
Love you too.
This has been Broadway for Breeders, Straight Guys Guide to Broadway. I am Zach Petrovich. I'm here with
Oliver Blatt
and our producer.
Whatever.
Thanks for coming in, guys. I'm not a gay. It's the Straight Guys Guide to Broadway.
This has been a Drop Tent Media production.